Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Modern Warfare 2 meta here in Season 4 has changed up a bit. Admittedly, most of the patch notes from the actual update itself were Warzone specific. I was going through and, of course, as I'm sure you guys know, usually we go through and do our MW2 meta tier list and then we break down the loadouts, but there were like just shotgun changes for the MW2 meta. So I decided to forego the actual tier list and just jump right into the setup. So today we're breaking down the top 10 best weapons in class setups to be running, starting first with one of our brand new weapons, the Tempus Razorback. This thing is pretty spicy here in multiplayer, especially as like an aggressive rifle in the mid-range. The thing absolutely fries. Real quick before we go into all the weapons here, secondary perks and equipment on everything stays the same on all my setups. We just got to go through it once. I'm always running a melee as a secondary here. I've got the katana swords right now, the dual kadachis is what they're actually called. But any melee as a secondary, I just swap to that as I spawn in, get to the choke point, go back to my primary, of course, or I drop this for an actual secondary once I take somebody out. It just helps out with the movement. Flashes, super dominant in multiplayer. Drill charges, great for dealing with campers or pushing choke points as well. As far as the perk package goes, double time and battle hardened. I got fast hands for that faster weapon swap, and then quick fix, of course, is super clutch. If you play aggressive, you can get that heal and that health regen started right as you get that kill. So super clutch there as well. Then for field upgrades, I'm of course using pro, and I go between a portable radar or a muni box, whatever I end up needing at any given time. But like I said, that's the same for all the setups here. Getting into the actual weapons here, like I said, the Razorback for the mid to long range is very, very good. You just got to land your shots, right? It's low recoil, so as soon as you're accurate, as soon as you got the recoil pattern down, you're pretty much set, right? Not a huge fan of the irons. I've seen a lot of, back and forth with this. Some players really like them. I'm not a huge fan. I go for the basic blue dot instead with the Chrono Mini Pro. We got the ERG X1 rear grip, just straight up better control. We're going to make it more accurate, primarily for the longer range if you find yourself there, but for the mid range, it's applicable too. Basically just tuning for better steadiness there. 45 round mag I feel like is sufficient for multiplayer, so I run that there. The Tanker V barrel, better control, better velocity, just making it more reliable. Then lastly, I go for the Castle Compensator. This mainly focuses on a horizontal, which just makes the weapon feel more consistent and easy to actually control over range. So I feel like that is adding, some nice reliability to the overall setup as well. But for a new weapon, it's pretty solid in the overall multiplayer meta here. Definitely a very fun rifle as well. And no surprises here, the TAC 56, aka the Scar, still one of the top tier choices here in multiplayer. Shout out to Nvidia for letting me know I can record. The Scar, though, it's frying still. It's been like this pretty much since day one. It's still the #1 choice of the pros for the CDL, of course, so obviously it's going to be in the top 10, right? And the setup here really not changing all that much. I like in multiplayer that I can build rifles like this to be aggressive for some close range, because obviously it's your primary. You might find yourself in those one-off situations, but for mid-range and long range, the versatility is just so fun. The combat rear grip here, just straight up better control. Edge 47 underbarrel for better stabilization. Sack and tread 40 for even better control. Tundra Pro barrel, better range, better velocity as well. We tune to enhance that range and steadiness even more. Then I like to mess around and I go for the Olay laser. It helps out with the ADS time, some sprint to fire as well, which is an added bonus, but just making this a little bit more snappy. I don't need an optic. Best irons in the game in my opinion. They're super clean, so this is a nice versatile overall loadout that just works well for any mode, any map. This thing fries. Now, what I consider to be the #1 gun in MW2 since day one, honestly, is the Kastov 74U. This thing was G8 almost immediately in competitive just because it's too good. It's an AR and an SMG in one. You got the mobility of an SMG, the damage of a rifle. It just fries. If I hop on multiplayer and I want to do well, this is the weapon that I pull out. This is the setup that I pull out. We got the True Tac rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire. We've got the Atrazat stock, better sprint speed, better strafe speed, so the mobility is already getting tuned up. Olay laser, better ADS and sprint to fire, even more mobility. 209 barrel, better movement speed, better ADS speed, even more mobility. So just off of those, we've already got the SMG-like speed. We already have the base damage profile of a rifle. I also go for the Castle Compensator just to make it a bit more reliable and consistent once more in the mid-range. So this thing is checking all the right boxes. It flies, it fries. Like I said, I truly think this is the #1 gun in Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. Now, we can't talk best weapons and not mention old reliable. The M4 would probably be the top choice in like the CDL if it wasn't G8 so soon as well. This thing is about as good as it gets. Low recoil, good damage, versatile as well. This setup is more so meant for mid to long range, but you can build this out to be speedier and faster for close to mid range. Got a lot of, viable builds for sure. I go for the P80 strike stock, sprint speed, ADS speed, strafe speed, just making it more aggressive, and it really doesn't hurt the controller have any noticeable cons because of everything else we've put on this as well. Zac and ZX rear grip, just straight up better recoil control. Edge 47 underbarrel yet again, castle compensator yet again. Then I like to go for the high tower barrel. It's maybe a little bit overkill for multiplayer, but honestly it works well. Better velocity, better range, better control. Just really love how this makes the weapon feel, and it's noticeable in those long range fights for sure. So a setup that really hasn't, you know, altered too much from launch, but one that is still absolutely in the top 10, well into the top 10 here. It's a beast. Now, a weapon that I've enjoyed using more and more here in multiplayer is the STB556. This really could again be built in several different ways. You could almost make this a better MX9 if you wanted to, like make it that rifle SMG hybrid. You could build it more for long range. This is sort of just like an aggressive build overall, good for mid range, good for some close range, but usable long range as well because of the damage profile too. So here I got the Q900 rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire. I've got the C11 riser just behind the face cam, better ADS and sprint to fire. Hate the AUG iron sights, so I go for the blue dot yet again. Basic there though with the furthest eye position and everything. 7mm laser for the better ADS and sprint to fire. And this gun is so easy to control. You don't need to, you know, change anything or add on anything for control because it's going to shoot straight at as is. And you just make it so fast and so aggressive with these attachments. I do go for the S901 barrel as well, which is better movement speed and ADS speed. I mean, this thing, you really seriously bump up the speed, make it a lot more aggressive, but keep the consistency and its overall base reliability that is one of the best in the game at being easy to use and very straightforward. Now, as we get into the second half of the setups here today, quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, every day I'm your one-stop shop for news, updates, setups, tips, you name it. If it has to do with MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ, I'm gonna be covering it, so feel free to hit that subscribe button to always stay up to date. And if you guys enjoy this video, if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be seriously appreciated, as it does really help the channel grow. Another weapon that I've really enjoyed using since day one is the Kastov 7.62. Really, this and the RPK honestly kind of feel the same in multiplayer. Like, you could build them out each very similarly because they're the same weapon platform, of course, and one's really not that much different than the other. It's more so RPK's a tad bit slower. 7.62 is a little bit more aggressive. The recoil though is you know, not the greatest in class, but not overwhelmingly bad. If you hit your shots at this thing, you're gonna erase. Like, this thing brings the power for sure. Basic blue dot yet again, same deal as always here. Just no need to use the iron sights for mid to long range based weapons, unless of course it's the TAC or the M4, which are just too clean to pass up. MW2 rear grip, better control, same deal there. Same deal with the Edge 47 underbarrel as well. Sack and tread 40, just straight up better control, mainly focused on vertical, but a little bit of horizontal too. Then I go for the Cast 10 barrel. This is your 3-in-1 combo, damage, range, velocity, control, just extending all the things that you want in a mid to long range weapon. They're making it even more lethal, even more efficient for those gunfights. And where this thing is good, it is very, very good. Some more hybrid action here. We got the Chimera, fantastic for close to mid range as well. Much like the AK-74U or the Kastov 74U, this has, with the setup at least, the speed of an SMG, but still the power of a rifle. Very easy to use, and I love the versatility here. Another one of my favorite weapons for just running and gunning, flying and frying. Ruin Flash rear grip, ADS and sprint to fire yet again. I got the Ravage 10 stock, which is sprint speed and ADS speed, just making it a little bit more snappy. 7mm laser for the ADS and sprint to fire. Tango underbarrel is on here for the mid-range mainly, but if you wanted to swap this for, you know, a compensator of some sort, or even an optic if you're not a huge fan of the irons, you could absolutely do so. This is a little overkill, but still there for the players who want that added level of comfortability. You can go kind of any direction with any of the tuning on this one. Then also I go for the Vorpal barrel. Better movement speed and ADS speed is mainly what I want out of this, because the base damage profile is good enough to outgun SMGs. You just got to match that speed and you're going to be good to go from that point on. Now, of course, the MP5, the Lachmann sub, is a no-brainer choice for being in the top 10 in multiplayer right now. This is another option that's been fantastic since day one. Great speed, really easy to use, great damage as well, and honestly some decent range for an SMG when you factor in the multiplayer health. Also very clean iron sights. Like, you're checking all the right boxes here as well, man. I go for the 40-round extended mag in this case. This is not something you have to do, but with how I play, a little bit more aggressive, I like it on there. That said, if you wanted to drop the 40-round extended mag and go for a muzzle for, you know, better control, if you wanted to go for an underbarrel for better hip fire, you could do so, but I don't feel like you need ammo. Overpressure is an option, but not necessary. The optic is so good, you could really pick and choose between any of those 4 attachment categories and throw on something and you'll be helping the build in some way, shape, or form. That That said, I also go for the TCG-10 rear grip. For better control, I just tune for the inverse of better mobility. The 56 stock, same thing I use over in Warzone. It's super aggressive, super snappy, and it also helps out with control and just makes the weapon even easier to use. 7mm laser once more, and the Falcon barrel based around movement speed and ADS speed is going to make this thing even more aggressive and well-rounded. Love the MP5, been loving it since day one. Here in season 4, still holds its own. Obviously, when we're talking subs, we got to include the Vaznev as well, the main SMG choice of the pros this year. This thing really hasn't changed much in recent seasons, largely because of the CDL and its dominance that it has there. They don't want to have to switch over to another sub, so it's not going to get nerfed, but hey, the thing works well. It's snappy, it's fast, it's got a great TTK. We go for the True Tac rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire. The Yacht's at stock for the better sprint speed and strafe speed. Olay laser yet again. Shark fin underbarrels, basically just for some free stability and strafe speed with no real cons here. That said, a lot of the pros also use some of the flash hiders. Like, that's a good choice too if you wanted to replace that overpressured ammo yet again. You certainly got your choices there. Cast 1 barrel also going to extend that damage range a little bit, which could be the difference in winning or losing a gunfight when you're factoring in SMG ranges, right? Like 10 meters versus 12 meters is pretty important when using a sub, so that can definitely help out in specific gunfights. And then lastly, of course, we got to bring up our second new weapon, the ISO 45, which is kind of just a very decent SMG. It's not too good, it's not too bad, it's just a solid choice. Very well rounded, I would say. Good for some mid-range, good for some close range. This build here is particularly aggressive. 45 round extended mag, not super necessary for multiplayer. Again, if you wanted ammo, if you wanted an underbarrel, feel free to do so, but it's nice to have if you're someone who's actively seeking out gunfights. We got the sheer rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire. The Cheetah stock, which is sprint speed, crouch speed, strafe speed, and ADS speed. Just huge boost to the mobility there. That's super clutch. Quick fire laser for the better ADS speed, and then we also go for the KT85 just for some consistency in the mid-range where we might need that extra control if we find ourselves in that type of gunfight. But overall, a very reliable SMG, very fun as well, much better than its counterpart in MW 2019. With that being said, those are the top 10 best weapons to be running here in Season 4 of Modern Warfare 2. That's gonna wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date between MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.